Today is a full body Pilates workout, but we're focusing on how these exercises can be helpful in combating or preventing low back pain. I'll provide all the modifications and tips you might need because low back pain is something I've dealt with before too. And special thanks to @Celeste_001 for the request. Let's get started. Let the knees drop to one side. Alternate between the two. We'll do about 4 more sets. We have external rotation on one leg and internal rotation on the other. Low back pain can originate from a number of things, and it's always best to get an opinion from a medical professional. But from the literature out there, oftentimes low back pain can be from weak glutes or core, stiff hips, or overall posture. We'll cover some common exercises to help strengthen and restore balance today, but if anything feels aggravated, definitely pause and take note. Next, come to high kneeling. One leg goes out to the side, hands plant to the ground, hinge the hips back. Rock the hips forward, hinge the hips back. Other side. Moving right on along, we're going to do some pelvic tilts. Bring the heel of your hand onto your pelvis. You can see my hand is level with the floor. Now exhale and draw the abs deep in towards your spine. Now my whole low back touches the ground and the heel of my hand is lower than my fingers. Rock between these two. Some of us get kind of stuck in anterior or posterior pelvic tilt, and this can help move you to mobilize out of any stuck patterns besides neutral. A couple of years ago, I started getting this excruciating pain in my low back, and after a while, I felt like I couldn't bend my low back. I ended up breaking my exercise streak that I had worked so hard to establish because it felt scary to move. It was super distressing, and I hoped it would just go away on its own, but over time, it just got worse, so I finally had to go to physical therapy. I've learned a lot since then, and I definitely empathize with those of you who have had to deal with this too. These are some things that really helped me along the way, so I hope it helps you too. Now come to neutral spine. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale to slowly lower to the ground. Alternate between the legs. The low abs are drawing in and helping to control the moving leg and stabilize the pelvis. We'll progress this a little further. Inhale both legs to tabletop. Exhale, lower one leg a few inches. Inhale back up. Alternate between the two. You can bring your hands to the small of your back and feel if there's a ton of gripping in that area. There will be a little activation, but try to relax it as much as you can. This exercise is toe taps from tabletop, one of my favorites, but if you're experiencing low back pain, I want you to play with reducing the range of motion. So instead of the toes tapping to the floor, let the leg go down just a few inches. This still does a lot of work for the abs, it just takes away the tendency to grip in the low back when we add the heavy load of the feet going farther away from center. So this way, you can build up the strength and control in the abs without compromising the form and having the low back take over. Now lower both legs, and let's do a little windshield in case the work did manage to creep into the low back. Next progression of this technique is dead bug. Inhale both legs up, arms to the ceiling. Exhale opposite arm and leg reach. Inhale back in. Same as before. Let's reduce the range of motion until we build the strength. If you're following along without back pain, you can always do the full range of motion. This goes for so much of Pilates. If you feel pain or like your form might be compromised and unintended muscles are working, try playing with the height of your arms and legs and see if you can build up to full expression of the exercise. Last set. And lower. If you sit all day, your psoas is likely working to hold you in a flexed position. A chronically working psoas can lead to compression of the spinal discs and joints because it connects to the lumbar. For about 2 years during the pandemic, I worked from home sitting on a small wooden stool cramped up like this. And because I worked in fintech and it was also a pandemic, working was all I did. It would be pretty normal to sit 9 to 10 hours straight a day. I even started to eat at the table like this. So if you're experiencing low back pain, you've probably noticed exercises on your stomach creep into your back. Bringing something under your hips like a bolster or rolled up towel or blanket can help keep the low back long. Place the blanket just about under hip points. Play with it to find a spot that feels good. We're starting with swimming, a super popular Pilates exercise. Our goal is to keep the low back lengthened as we do this. Rest both arms and legs on the ground and opposite arm and leg reach long and lift. Alternate. We're going for length over height. Height especially can be where compression of the low back happens. Traditional swimming is like this, floating all limbs and alternating quickly. Hopefully, this modification can help you build up to that eventually. Now bring your forearms to Sphinx pose. Then one leg and the heel stamps the ceiling for about 6. Other leg. This is my funny leg, so I always have to look at it to see if it's flagging out. Stamp the ceiling for 6. Next is bridging. Pilates bridge looks like this, and one of the big emphases are spinal articulation rolling through lumbar flexion. If you you have low back pain, we're not going to do that. We can hinge at the hips, keeping neutral spine as we lift and lower. And same principle as earlier, let's play with reducing the range of motion. So instead of one line from knee to shoulder, only lift the hips up a few inches off the ground. We're still building core and glute strength, but we're eliminating the part that can feel uncomfortable. This is how I had to do bridges for quite a while. You can still practice keeping the tricep down and shoulders back and open. Last one. A little stretch before we move into the next section. Stack both knees and twist open. Take a few rounds of breath. I've been really enjoying this one lately. Try to keep the knees really lined up, and that should give a deep stretch. Other side. Another common reason for low back pain is a weak glute med or outer hip. I mentioned earlier that during the pandemic I sat constantly, so my butt was literally wasting away. The glute med is a primary stabilizer of the pelvis and therefore impacts the low back. A weak glute can cause a lot of complications both above and below the glute, so come to lay on your side. You can rest your hand on your head or prop your head up like this. Line up along the back edge of the mat. Bottom leg reaches towards front center of the mat. Top leg reaches long. The tendency for this is to tuck the butt and low back as the leg swings forward. Instead, I want you to reach your top hip away from the ribs and keep the hips stacked on top of each other. We hinge at the hip. Inhale, toe comes forward. Exhale, heel back. Obliques are helping to stabilize in this position, so we're working outer hip and also getting some core work as well. Last one. Next, bend the knees and glue the inner seams of the feet together. Exhale, lift the top knee, squeeze and hold at the top. Inhale, lower. When I did physical therapy, my PT loved that I practiced Pilates, and she said this was a great one that was used in both PT and Pilates. Let's progress this a little more. Lift the feet, keep them glued together, exhale, open, inhale, close. Last one. Close the knees, lower the feet. Come up to a forearm lift. Exhale, hips lift and legs open at the same time. Inhale, lower. This is another Pilates and PT exercise. We're adding a little shoulder work to this one, so we're getting more bang for our buck. Stay lifted out of the shoulder and don't sink down. Let's repeat all this on the other side. Legs go long, bottom foot to front corner, top leg long. Inhale, toe forward. Exhale, heel back. We're hinging, so stay in neutral spine. Don't let the low back come out of the natural curve. Clamshell. Bend the knees. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. You know, whenever a big guy has thoughts on Pilates, outer hip work is what I'd give them to humble them. Small circles, diagonal leg lifts, this can all feel like cruel and unusual punishment. Last one. Next, lift the feet, exhale, open, inhale, close. Last one. Lift up to forearm. Exhale, hips and leg lift. Inhale, all of it lowers. Last one. Continuing our side booty work, we're doing squats, stepping out to the side. You can do this with or without a band. I'm adding this for extra work. So come to your squat position, no tucking the butt, stick the butt out, neutral spine. Step to the side, we're aiming to feel this in the outer hip. You can bring your hands there to bring awareness. I'm doing about 3 lengths of my mat both ways. This is yet another PT crossover. Time for some stretches. Lay on your side, knees stacked. Grab the top leg and reach it back. Open the hip flexor and quad stretch. Take a few rounds of breath. Other side. Next, come to a high kneeling. Lunge one leg forward, opposite arm reaches up and over. You can use your other arm to press into the knee and get a deeper stretch. Other side. Now lunge forward, back leg goes long. You can plant your hands if you want a deeper stretch. Hinge the hips back and hamstring stretch. Tight hamstrings and glutes can also lead to low back pain. Other side. Lunge forward. Hinge back. Come to figure 4. We did a lot of glute work, so let's take several rounds of breath here. Stay in neutral spine. Other side. Next, one leg goes long, other knee comes to chest. Hip flexor stretch. Then straighten and bend the knee, hamstring stretch. Other side. I hope these modifications empower you in your own practice. These are modifications that can be used with any Pilates YouTuber you watch or any class you take. If you're experiencing low back pain, I know how discouraging it can be, but I hope this helps and I hope you feel better soon. Bye!
If you want to see